Bearing in mind, the epidural was not working, so I could feel everything. Her head was there, tearing me apart, and they want to do circle time. I don't know how she... How would she do that with her lip? Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Imjessiara. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. So, I'm back. I gave birth, which I have a lot of new subscribers. So hey, if you're watching, hello. Thank you for subscribing. If you don't know who I am, my name's Imjessiara. I'm 19 and I am no longer pregnant. Yeah, I gave birth on Sunday, the 29th of November at 6:36 p.m. And this is just basically going to be my birth story because I made lots of TikToks about my birth and just joking that my birth was like traumatic, and I wasn't joking. People think that I'm joking when I say that I had a traumatic birth. And I know people's birth stories are different. I know everyone has different experiences, and I know people have had worse experiences than what I've had, but for me, I just wasn't prepared and a lot happened. Yeah, a lot happened. So if you're not already, grab yourself a drink. I've got myself a coffee because I need it. I'm sleep deprived. Sit back, relax, and listen to the birth of my daughter, Amara Athena Marriott Burrows. Sounds so pretty. Right, so I wrote everything down because after you give birth, like a day or two after, the memory slowly goes. I don't forget the pain. The pain, I'm now 10 days postpartum, you guys. I gave birth 10 days ago, so she is 10 days old now. I still remember what it felt like because my epidural didn't work, but we'll get into that. We'll get onto it. And she's in literally right there, napping. Her eyes open. Oh no. Should I just hold her? Gosh, guys, BRB. Oh. Okay, darling. All right. Let me pull my chair in. Hi, darling. Oh, you're gonna eat my hair. Yeah, that's a big smile. That is such a big smile. So this is Amara, my daughter. It's still really crazy to say that. I have a daughter. Yeah, so this is Amara Athena. I'm just gonna get into why I gave birth earlier than I did, because if you guys don't know, I was induced. I was induced on, I wrote everything down, like literally. I was induced on Friday the 27th of November at 9 p.m. And I gave birth on the Sunday. So the Saturday and the Sunday morning was when everything just kind of sped up. So let me just start from the very beginning, shall we? Yeah, I went into the hospital on Friday for reduced movements, and because I needed to do a blood test because my sugars were really all over the place. So they told me to come in if I didn't get my blood test done already. So I came into the hospital, me and Corey came in, and I told them, you know, I've been having some reduced movements and I need to do my blood test. And they were like, okay. So I sat in the room in triage, pressing the button every time she moved. Yeah. And then they checked and they said my blood test was already done. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Great, I can go home. But all this time, guys, bearing in mind, I was 37 weeks and 4 days, I think, at this point. No, I went in the week before, so I was 36 weeks, and I was trying to get induced because they said to me I won't make it full term because my BMI is really low. I have really low iron. I had a high blood pressure, like everything was wrong with me. So they didn't want me to make it to full term, basically. And they thought that she was big. Like they were estimating that she was like 7 pounds 2 ounces, 7 pounds 5 ounces, and she was born 6 pounds 6, so she was just really tall. She's got really long arms and legs, so that's probably why. But yeah, they said that my blood test was already done, like reduced movements is fine, and then they checked me just to see if I was dilated and how my cervix was, etc, etc. And they were like, yeah, your cervix is still like closed, you're not dilated at all, like you're fine, you can go home, basically. And I was kind of disappointed because yeah I was kind of disappointed because I came in to be like, I thought I was getting induced because they kept telling me that I was. So I just was preparing for it in my mind, basically. So when they said you're not getting induced, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. And then I was waiting for about an hour and a half, I guess, because the doctor went off to see another doctor like higher up to discuss like what they were going to do with me, basically. And then an hour and a half later, they came back just like, yeah, well, you're getting induced tonight. I was like, cool. Like it happens so fast, guys. Like literally she just came in the room, sat me down and was like, yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna schedule you for an induction at 9 p.m. tonight. And I was like, 9 p.m. tonight? So she was like, yeah, so here's what's gonna happen. She ran through it really briefly. She told me, I think it was around 5 p.m. I don't remember. I'll ask Corey, but I think it was around 5 p.m. When they told me all of this, because I was at the hospital for a couple of hours now. So yeah, they came and they told me, they were like, yeah, so you can go home, you can go relax, take a bath, take a shower, like prepare yourself, bring your hospital bags at 9 p.m. So I was like, right, okay, damn, like it hit me at that point. Like I knew I was going to get induced, but I didn't think it was going to happen that soon. I thought they were going to tell me, you know, come in tomorrow morning or like come in tomorrow evening or afternoon. So I didn't expect it to happen that quick. So I was kind of like, okay, cool. So I texted Corey, I texted Francesca, I texted my aunt. I told everyone, I was like, okay, I'm being induced tonight. Basically, this could happen really fast or it could happen extremely slowly, so I just wanted to be prepared. So we left the hospital, went home. I took a nice long shower. That was the last shower I took being pregnant. And I came home, I relaxed. Me and Corey took some pictures, we listened to music. It was just really nice. It was a really nice chill evening, and I really appreciate the fact that I had time, because I know a lot of women are induced like on the spot. Yeah, so then I came back to the hospital at 9 p.m. like they told me to, and I was checked in to triage, which was it was just a really weird experience, because I've never like been upstairs. I was always downstairs when I was getting the reduced movements and blah blah blah. So they took me upstairs to a room, and then I was in the room by myself. When I walked in, there was like lots of beds, and then they were like, oh, what bed do you want? So I picked the one closest to the window because, you know, a view. I didn't want to be in between two people. And I sat down and I was just like, this could happen really quickly. Like inductions can happen really fast for some people and really slow for other people. So I was just preparing to be there for no less than 24 hours after I gave birth, and that was not the case. If you guys don't know, I was there in the hospital for almost a week because a lot of stuff happened afterwards, like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so checked into the hospital. What time was it? I'd say 11. I wrote down 11. Yeah, so I checked into the ward at 11 p.m. that Saturday night, and they checked me and I was 1 centimeter dilated. Bearing in mind, when they checked me at like 5 p.m. the same day, I was not dilated. My cervix was like not ripened or whatever. And then I got to the hospital and I was 1 centimeter. So I was like, oh, okay, great. This is going to work quick. So I got to the hospital and they put in, my mum brain, guys, they put in something to help me start contractions. So yeah, it was at night on Saturday. And then from 11 p.m. when I was checked to about 3 in the morning, I got like 2 hours of sleep. I didn't feel any pain for the first few hours, but there was other women that came in the room and they were like in labor. There was one woman who was opposite me and she was screaming. She was like saying, why God, why God, why? And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear this. Like, oh wow. It was really intense. It was really, really scary actually. And that was a moment where I was just like, oh, I don't want to be by myself for this. And that's one of the negative things I think about being pregnant and giving birth in a pandemic, where you literally can't have anyone in the room with you. You're by yourself in pain, and the midwives can only check you so many times. You just want to be comforted by someone who you know and who you love, which was really stressful for me. So I kept, you know, I was always talking to Corey, I was always texting my aunt and my friends, and I kept myself distracted by watching TikTok, of course, watching YouTube videos. Because my brain takes me to places where I don't want it to go sometimes, especially when I'm in pain and when I'm by myself. So I just kept distracting myself for the first few hours. I woke up at 2:30 on Saturday morning. Two contractions. I just woke up to like it was like period pains. I can explain that as period pains. It wasn't that painful. I could deal with it. I could walk around, I could move. And since my bed was at the end, I had the biggest bit, so I could move around, I could walk. I was bouncing on the labor ball. And then at this point, I was listening to my hypnobirthing track, because if you guys don't know, I was practicing hypnobirthing throughout my pregnancy, probably towards the end. I think in my 3rd trimester, I started, you know, reading the book and just learning breathing techniques, because initially I didn't want an epidural, you guys. I didn't want any medication. The most I would take is gas and air. So I was telling myself, I was like, I'll just breathe through it, like I'll be fine. Oh, little did I know, flipping out, I'm actually getting PTSD from this. But anyway, yeah, so it was like 2:30 a.m. going on to 3 a.m. I'm just here bouncing on my ball, listening to the hypnobirthing track whilst these women are in labor, screaming, shouting. I was in pain, but I could handle it. It was like tolerable. And until it was like 6 a.m, 7 a.m, I think. I just remember the sun was coming up, and since I was near the window, it was the most beautiful like sunrise. I loved it. But yeah, until it got to like 6 a.m, 7 a.m, that's when the pain was like, it was getting bad. And then I didn't eat. This was the time where I didn't eat anything, remember that. So I didn't eat anything, I couldn't keep anything down, and I'm not a person to throw up, so every time I did try and eat something proper, I kept throwing up. I had lots of snacks before. Me, Corey and my aunt went to Tesco before we went to the hospital for my induction, and we got lots of snacks. I got lots of fruits, I got like nuts, crackers, I got like chocolate, just stuff to like snack on basically, because I get full really easily, so I just wanted a snack. And half of those snacks didn't even get eaten until labor, like until I was in labor. My aunt ate those. But yeah, it was like 7 a.m. in the morning. The contractions were getting really painful. I couldn't keep it down. And I kept calling the nurses and the midwives. I was like, can I get something for that? I was like, can I get paracetamol? Can I get like something? I didn't want, I couldn't get the epidural anyway because I wasn't 4 centimeters and I wasn't in the labor ward. I was still upstairs in the bit where you go where you're having contractions and where you're being induced basically. Yeah, so contractions got stronger, and then yeah, I was checked after a couple hours after the contractions started getting stronger and stronger, and I was 2 centimeters dilated, which I was kind of like 2 centimeters only. Right, okay, cool. So I went from 1 centimeter when it was 11 p.m. and then I was 2 centimeters in the morning when it was like 7:30 a.m. I think. And then they came around with breakfast and lunch, and I didn't eat any of it. Like the plates and the trays just kept packing up and piling up. The only thing I did have was like orange juice that they gave me, because I like orange juice, so they gave me orange juice. And then they gave me this yogurt, and I had the yogurt, but that was about it. Other than that, I was just downing water, and I kept running to the bathroom every 2 seconds. Like it was a lot. Yeah, so I just spent the whole day from 7 a.m. until like 3 p.m, the whole day basically having contractions. I couldn't move. Like as the hours went, I couldn't move. I didn't want to bounce my ball. I was basically bedbound. I could not move at all. My body reacted to everything really weirdly. Like I just felt really out of it, and then I begged for gas and air. Basically they gave me the gas and air tank, and I hate gas and air, guys. I know people say that gas and air is a lifesaver, but for me, I hated it. Like it made me feel so sick. I didn't throw up until I got to the labor ward, but when I was in that room and I was having the contractions, the midwives were like, keep taking it. They were like, take it in, it'll make you feel better. But it didn't even take my mind off of anything. If anything, I just felt really like woozy, and I couldn't like focus on what I was doing, which was the whole point of what I wanted for my birth basically. Like I wanted to be 100% present. I wanted to be 100% there. Like I didn't want any interventions, which, you know, I had interventions. I had every intervention you could think of, but yeah, I hated the gas in there. It did help. Like I was really like woozy, and the pain was like in the back of my mind for some points, but it didn't really do its job for me. For you it may work, but for me it just it was horrible. I didn't like it. I didn't like the feeling. Like my friends, it got them giggly. For me, it just made me sad. It made me really upset. And it just had a calm down basically. So I just kept taking that. And then finally I had this one nurse. She was absolutely amazing. She was like, I don't know, she was like an auntie to me. She was really sweet. She just felt like family. She was just really, really, really sweet to me. And bless her, I don't think, if it wasn't for her, I would not have been moved to the labor ward as soon as I was. So I think it was like 3:30 going on to 4 p.m. on Saturday. And she got another nurse to check her because I was in so much pain, you guys. Like I was crying to myself. Because I was by myself obviously, and it was horrible. Like I did not like it. I just felt really lonely. I felt very out of place. Like, she got another nurse to check me because I was in so much pain, and she was like, sister, I don't want to hurt you, sister, I don't want to hurt you. She kept saying that. So she got a nurse to check me, and then that nurse was like, yeah, you're 2 centimeters, but you can't go down to the labor ward yet until you're 4 centimeters. And then I was begging her, you guys, I was like, please, can you give me something else to speed up the process? Like, please, I'm in so much pain, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And she was like, you'll be fine, don't worry. And then she went back to the nurse that I had, and she told her, and then that nurse came to me and was like, there's a bed available in the labor ward, we're taking you down right now. And I was like, what? And she was like, pack your stuff, we're going to the labor ward. And I was like, you just now told me. And then she was like, no, sister, you're in so much pain, you're young, you're high risk. So she was just like, I want you to be taken care of, which just made me cry. Like, when she said that, I just started crying, and she was like, sister, it'll be okay, like, I hope you do okay. And I ended up seeing her when I had baby girl, and she was so lovely. So I packed my stuff up as much as I could. We took my suitcase, we took everything that I had from that ward downstairs to the labor ward, where everything just kicked off basically. And then at this point was when I called my aunt, because essentially Corey was going to be my birth partner. That was the plan from the beginning. He was going to be my birth partner. He was going to be there throughout the whole thing as soon as I got to the labor ward basically. Oh yes, I didn't even mention, I forgot. I had visitors. I was allowed to have visitors from 11 until 2 p.m. I think 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. I was allowed to have visitors. So during Saturday, I was allowed to have my aunt and Corey come and see me, which was, that was lovely. Yeah, they took me down to the labor ward at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. Yeah, so I went down to the labor ward. It was really intense because you just hear women screaming and shouting, calling out names, swearing, cussing. You just hear it all, and that was kind of scary. I was just kind of like, oh no, that's going to be me very soon. But yeah, so what happened after that? They took me to the room, and this labor ward is new, you guys. So it was newly built, it was newly painted, it was newly renovated, so it was so nice. Everything just sped up. It happened really fast. And then I had this one nurse who stuck with me from my labor, from pushing through my almost C-section to when I was leaving the hospital with baby and with Corey on Thursday. Like, she was amazing, she was brilliant, she was Italian, so everything she said just jazzed it up a little bit. But yeah, it was 4:30. I called my aunt, and then we had a little alteration of if my aunt was going to be my birth partner or if Corey was going to be my birth partner. And I know a lot of people would say, like, why didn't Corey, be my birth partner? Why wasn't he there? Because he's the father. Guys, COVID is such a biatch. I was really upset because I just wished that they would be loose about it, because I don't see the massive problem about it. I do see why it would be a hazard. I do see, just safety reasons, obviously, I do understand that, but at the same time, women's by themselves, have given birth by themselves essentially, and they can't even have their partners, their husbands, their mums, their sisters, anyone to be there with them. So that was the hardest part for me. There was a lot of miscommunication because I was there zoning out, like I was essentially in and out of consciousness at that point, and I was trying to keep him updated, and every text I sent did not send, which I can only imagine what it felt like on his end. I'm going to pull him in very soon, but he's doing work. So, yeah, I can only imagine what that was like on his end. I was just texting, saying like, oh, I'm 6 centimeters now. I've been moved to the labor ward. Like, this happened, this is happening, this is happening. And the texts were not sending. They just didn't send. And I noticed they didn't send after I gave birth to her. Like, I went back to my phone and I just saw exclamation marks next to the messages, which was, you must be panicking right now. And then I took an epidural at 6, I think it was 6 p.m. when I took the epidural, but again, it didn't really do anything. So she got there. As soon as she got there, I met all of the doctors and the nurses that were going to be caring for me basically, and the contractions were getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and they were so painful. I was not ready at all. They excruciating, like I could not comprehend how painful they were. They just take over your whole body, and everyone says that, but they really do. It just takes over your whole body, your mind. You can't think about anything but the pain. I didn't want an epidural. I really just wanted to try and see if I could do it without, and I basically did in the end. So I guess I got what I wanted, but flip now. Okay, so yeah, from like 4:30 when my aunt came until 6 p.m, I'd say around 6 p.m, I was having the contractions. They were really, really painful. I could not take it anymore. So they were like, do you want the epidural? And I was like, I caved in. I was like, give me the epidural right now. I couldn't take it. So yeah, they called the anesthetist, I think that's how you say it, to do the epidural. He took his time, may I say that. He took his time to come and give me the epidural, to arrive in my room. He took his time to even inject it in my back. It just, everything was really delayed, and I was extremely frustrated, as was my aunt. My aunt was fantastic. She just kept pushing them to do what they needed to do to help me. And she's a nurse as well, so she completely understood everything that was going on. But yeah, then they checked me after I had the epidural. The epidural part, it wasn't that bad. And this was when all the unnecessary stabbing happened. So inserted the epidural needle once, didn't work. He then took it out and inserted it again. And I think I moved. I think I like jumped because the poke, and I had a contraction. So he had to take it out and put it in again. And then he put it in finally. It was a really weird sensation, basically. It's just the cold liquid. That's all you feel, is cold liquid as the epidural liquid is being pumped into you. I think I could have been fine without the epidural, because the whole process was just delayed, and everything just was delayed.
She's gonna have a contraction during her recording. Right, YouTube. Breathe through it. Breathe.
Even the epidural, like, people say that the epidural can work quickly for them or really slow for them. It worked really slowly for me. Like, it took half an hour to an hour to actually work. And through that, it was just not fun. But whilst that was happening, whilst the epidural was working, they then checked me, and they said to me I was 8 centimeters at this point when I got the epidural at 6 p.m. I was happy chappy. I was over the moon. I said, I'm 8 centimeters. I'm 2 more centimeters to, you know, pushing out my baby. I made it this far without an epidural. Like, I made it to 8 centimeters without an epidural. Like, yay. I was so proud of myself. My aunt was so proud of me. And then at this point, they brought in another nurse, or like a doctor, I think, to check me again, just to see if I was actually 8 centimeters. And they both stuck their fingers inside of me. And I was just laying there, just like, do you know what? I'm in pain. I can't be, and like, the pain can't get any worse than this, I was thinking. And then the doctor was like, oh no, you're not 8 centimeters, you're 6 centimeters. And this was an ongoing thing, you guys. This was an ongoing thing. When I was transferred down, they kept checking me to see if I was you know, dilated. They said I was they said I was 4 centimeters. I was actually 2 centimeters. They said I was 6 centimeters. I was actually 4 centimeters. They kept messing it up, and that was the most disheartening part, because I kept thinking I was progressing when I wasn't. I was actually 6 centimeters, not 8 centimeters. Then the epidural started to work. The pain went away. Like, I could still feel pressure. I could still feel pain, but it was doable. I could talk. I was speaking to the nurses. I was speaking to my aunt just about anything. Like, we were just chatting about life. And then, yeah, they came and checked and said I was 6 centimeters. So I was like, cool. Like, anything can happen now. I can't get up and move now because I have the epidural in. So I kind of just had to lay in bed and just wait, basically. But yeah, unfortunately, the epidural did not work for me. It probably lasted about an hour and a half. It came and went. Like, everything happened so fast. I just remember all of it. Are you snoring? Anyway, I just remember all of a sudden feeling pain again. I was just like, I was speaking to the nurses and my aunt, and I was just like, oh, I was like, ouch. Like, oh, why can I feel pain? And they were like, oh, it's probably just pressure, you know, it's probably just like, you know, baby's head descending. And I was like, no, that's a contraction. Because now I know what a contraction feels like. I was like, that's a contraction. Why can I feel it? So they called the anaesthetist in, and I told him what happened, and I told her what happened, and she was like, okay, we'll just top you up. So they topped me up, and I got topped up every 30 minutes. which felt like the longest 30 minutes of my life, but didn't work. The topping up did not work. She topped me up once and then I lost feeling in the right side of my body. I felt everything in my back because she was back to back with me and I thought she was flipped. So I was like, okay, my back was killing me, guys. Like my back and the contractions were the most painful part. Like I was like, oh my gosh, my back was just in bits. On top of that, I had an IV because my fluids were just gone. I had a catheter, which if you guys don't know what a catheter is, you basically can't go to the bathroom, so they put it in so the liquids inside of you are extracted, basically. That's what catheter is. Oh my gosh, what is it called? I don't remember the name. I have to ask Corey. I had a thing in my hand. Oh my gosh, like I literally have to brace myself speaking about this because it's yeah, I know. The amount of times that I was injected and stabbed and it was ridiculous. So my veins just decided to not be present. Like when I was in labor, the time that they needed to inject me and my veins needed to be visible was a time that it didn't show up. The epidural just stopped altogether. I just gave up on top ups. Like they kept asking me, do you want to top up? I was like, no, because what is it going to do? It didn't do anything. I could basically feel everything. It was like I didn't have an epidural. I just remember laying back in the bed just like I was out of it, and I didn't take gas and air. Like I refused gas and air. They were like, take the gas and air, it will help you. And I was like, nah. I hadn't eaten in 2 days at all. I hadn't slept in like 3 days either. So I was just exhausted at this point. I started doing practice pushes at 3 p.m. on Sunday now. So yeah, it was like Saturday night. We went through the whole night. It was just very long, but it just felt dragged out because of everything that happened. They checked me and I was 10 centimeters. I did end up filming more than I expected to. My aunt actually filmed it because we were going to film it for Corey and send it to him. But yeah, I'll insert those clips. Ignore everything. Like I was in pain, you guys. Ignore my face, my hair, everything. Just I was about to give birth, so you have to excuse me.
Come on, stronger. Keep it going. 1, 2,
That's it.
3,
Stronger,
4,
stronger,
5,
stronger,
6, 7,
Come on,
8,
come on.
9, 10. One more.
And again,
Take it from your nose.
And
Just from your nose.
again.
Just from your
But yeah, started practice pushes. That was fun because again, epidural didn't work, so I could feel all sorts of pushing, pressure, contractions, everything. And I was pushing really well, you guys. Like the nurses and doctors were like, yeah, just like that. Look at all the hair in her head, you guys. She has a lot of hair. This was when I had a little bit of energy. Like I had a good amount of energy, and then I just kept thinking about my hypnobirthing. I just kept thinking about the breathing techniques, like in for 4, out for 8. Like that's what I was doing. My head was like there. And at this point, I was exhausted. Is not even the word. I didn't have any energy left in me. I couldn't breathe properly, so my breathing was just irregular. I had no energy. I couldn't push anymore. Editing this video now and I completely forgot something. So I had a 12-hour labor. For those of you who may be asking how long was your labor, it was roughly between 12 and 14 hours. Yeah, my induction lasted 2 days and I was in labor for about 12 to 14 hours. Because I forgot to say that. And at this point I was pushing for about an hour, which they give you an hour to push until they intervene, which, why, I don't understand. You should give women as much time as they need to push unless the baby is in trouble, like unless they're breathing and their heart rate drop or something like that. Corey, I need help. I forgot about a lot of the words.
What words?
Like the thing that I had in my hand, what was that called?
Cannula.
I'm saying catheter, but catheter's the other thing. I had the cannula in my hand, the cannula. This one's him making noises and whistling and stuff. I was sending the messages, but they wasn't sending.
Yeah. So, the first thing I found out was on Snapchat that she posted up. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah. Right.
It sounds so bad.
Yeah, it wasn't her fault. I'm just glad she was okay, to be honest.
Yeah, so I pushed basically until I felt like the burning ring of fire, whatever that's called. And yeah, I pushed for an hour, and then after an hour they're like, no, you can't continue because it's an hour. But at this point I was exhausted anyway. I was just like, I couldn't continue because I hadn't slept for 2 days, 3 days going. I hadn't eaten for 2 days, 3 days. I had all sorts of stabbings and fluids and things inside of me that I was just like, I don't wanna do this. And then they're like, oh, we recommend forceps, and gave me the contract which I had to read and sign
During labour.
I'm sorry, this isn't a bit. This is not business
like
meeting.
Give you beforehand to be like,
funny, but yeah, if this happens,
would you want to?
yeah, it's not a business meeting. Like,
Honestly.
I don't understand. I was here, my eye half open, my hair's a mess. I'm exhausted, and they give me a pen, and they're like, "Can you sign here? Print your name and sign a sig."
The raggedy house.
And my aunt's face. No, it was the fact that they made me write in the first place after they stabbed me 100 times in my hands, in both my hands. Whatsoever. The disrespect. But yeah, I signed it, and then after that everything just happened so quick. Like 100 doctors and nurses came in the room and done stuff with me. I don't even know, I was just laying there like a starfish at this point, just like, do whatever you need to do. Like, I didn't care anymore. And they pushed me, they wheeled me. It's like they started like jogging into the theatre, and then as we were going to the theatre, I could just hear them say like, oh, C-section. And I was like, C-section? I'm not having a C-section. They just told me I'm gonna do forceps. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, cool. Be open to anything. So we made it to the theatre, and then there was like 100 doctors and nurses in there. They introduced them. Oh, flipping out. They done like a little introduction, like we're in reception. Like, no, for real. They all stood like in a semicircle around me whilst I'm half awake. They were like, okay, we're gonna do introductions for everyone, because I don't think they all knew each other. And I was like, you should have done this. Bearing in mind, the epidural was not working, so I could feel everything. Her head was there, tearing me apart, and they want to do circle time. Believe what was happening. My legs spread, my dignity is just gone out the window at this point.
Shaking hands.
I was and then my aunt had to get in scrubs and put the thing on her head, and she was I felt like she was one of the doctors and nurses the way she was walking around the room with them. I was like, oh my god.
Checking out the equipment and shit.
After that, they took out the epidural, which hurt, and then they put in the spinal block, which numbed everything. Like, I could not feel past like my belly. Like, it was the weirdest sensation. I just felt like I just had a top half. Like, I couldn't feel my legs and my toes or anything, which was good. But then even when they put the spinal block in, I could still feel the back labor. So I was like, I'm going to be in pain regardless. Start pushing, which was weird because I couldn't feel anything, but I could feel pressure, but nothing at the same time. So I'm here pushing, and then our head came out, and then everyone's like, oh my god, everyone in the room, oh my gosh, she's got hair, oh my god, look at that hair, oh my gosh. My aunt checked, oh my god, well, she got all that hair. I was just like, great, she has hair. Like, thank you for confirming it. And then they're like, okay, keep pushing, and then literally 2 seconds later she was out. And then I was like, rah, okay. Everything just kind of went blurry because I was exhausted. And then they had to sew me up like straight away. And I think that's how I knew that I lost a lot of blood, because I could see in their face that they started panicking. And then they put her on my chest for like 2 seconds, and then my aunt took her.
I'm gonna take her over to the PG.
Yeah, cry. Congratulations. Thank you. Good. Go on, make more noise. Make some more noise. Well done. Big girl, come on, make some noise.
And they're like, okay, we gave you an episiotomy. I was like, what? You have to tell me beforehand that you're gonna do this stuff. They're like, yeah, we gave you an episiotomy, which is where they cut to help you not tear, basically to stop you from tearing, just so it's easier for them to come out. I was wheeled to the recovery room, which was a massive room I just had to myself. It had a massive curtain that was drawn, a bed, and then they wrapped her up. That was just the start of the traumatic. If I don't laugh, I cry. So yeah, you went through it as well, my darling. Oh my gosh, I ended up having a ventouse delivery, which is like a plunger, basically. You know, the plunger that you use to get stuff out your sink in your toilet.
Not the same one, I don't think.
Not the same one, but like it looks similar. So I had that instead. So they suctioned it to her head and poured her out, which very lovely. I thought it was forceps. They told me that's what I consented to. As I said, I gave birth on Sunday the 29th of November at 6:36, and she weighed 6 pounds 6 ounces, which is a really weird combination of numbers there, but I think it means something. Yeah, I thought I was gonna go home the next day. I was getting excited. I was like, yay, everyone can meet her, like I can go home and eat and sleep and relax. Yeah, little did I know, like 5 days later I went home. So she was jaundiced. Yeah, the whole jaundice thing, that was one of the worst parts, because she had to go in the light therapy, like the blue box thing. I have a picture. I don't even want to put it in because it's so horrible, but I had to put her in that for hours and hours, and she had to put the little glasses, goggles, eye patch thing on. I had to put that on her every time. I took her out and I hated it because she just looked so like, she didn't like it, but she slept in it eventually. And then they kept checking her jaundice levels to see if it would go down, and then it went down, and they said, we will let you go if it goes down. It went down. They didn't let me go. Then they found out about my iron levels. My iron was extremely low. They said like worryingly low. If I went home, there'd be a problem. So then they were like, oh, do you want to do a blood transfusion or an iron transfusion? Yeah, I went downstairs into the labour ward again for the iron transfusion. They injected my hand again, like 4 times, but hey, we move. I don't care at this point. I had her on my chest the whole time, and then they brought me dinner. I ate, and then I went back upstairs. I was like, great, I'm fine now. And I took like a bunch of medication. I had to inject myself with insulin like every day I was there because my energy was like gone. And then yeah, her levels for jaundice came back and they said she was okay, but we still couldn't go home. I'd rather be kept in now, like longer, than go home and like come back and have another problem. So I was just like, all right, cool, fine. So I ended up being there for 5 days. Because I came in to be induced on the Friday and I left on Thursday night. And then yeah, that's everything, I think. Did anything else happen? I have no idea at this point. Like, I really don't know. That's my traumatic birth story. I really hope you enjoyed it. I don't have anything else to say. How have you been finding parenthood?
That's been amazing. Just watching her grow. In like 10 days, she's changed so much.
Oh yeah, I didn't say how she's 10 days old. Look at you.
Every day. Just learning the cues and different facial expressions.
Yeah, she's pouting.
It's amazing to watch.
Who does she look like? Wait.
I mean, without scudged up face, you can't really tell, can you?
I don't know how she... How would she do that with her lip? I haven't got the chin though.
Uh-huh.
You're a bit rude.
So what of it?
What are you dreaming about? I hope you're not dreaming about any of this, because flipping out, you poor thing. You went
Both
through
you
it with me. Don't be scared. There's honestly, like, I was not scared leading up to it. I understand why people are, but it's not scary. I think people just are scared because they don't know what's going to happen, but anything can happen. I'm an example. I didn't think that I was going to have any interventions. I thought I was going to be in and out, like
everyone else.
Yeah, like everyone else, basically. I just kept seeing people come and go. But that's everything. I don't really know what else to say. This video is already long enough. I hope I answered some of you lot's questions. If I didn't, comment them down below or send me a message. I know people are asking about postpartum and recovery, especially me having a traumatic birth. I'm saying traumatic birth. If it's not traumatic to you, I don't really care. Again, this is only a story that I'm explaining from my point of view. If you actually were there and saw it and experienced it, I'm pretty sure you would agree with me, but each to their own. That's our birth story of baby Amara. I'm so happy I can finally say her name. Thank you so much for watching our birth story, and I'll see you in our next video. Daddy, say goodbye.
Bye.
Look at your head.
Oh, you see me?
Wait.
Trying to hide.
He's right there.
Oh shit, it's on there.
It's so tiny. All right, bye-bye.